We're in the information age, but really what that means, it's oversaturated like podcasts in the rap scene. It's confusing. Whether you going live or you zooming, you ain't on the same page till you read what the room thinks. And the room thinks many words, and every word is personal. And when it's in type, it's even worse. If you misunderstood, that's just how it works. So I'm a hypocrite, just like the rest of the earth. And racists think you hate them, so they gotta hate you first. Of miscegenation is a crime, the melting pot is a urn. They want us normal and ignorable, killing to burn. Sexism isn't a two-way street. Listen to her. Welcome to the Museum of Dead Words. I'm your tour guide, Dyalekt, alongside Pamela Capalid, Kristen Crouch, and Andrew J. Scoville. We spent the last few years pouring through conversations online to find words that kill discussions and ruin discourse. We dub these words dead and have been infiltrating art galleries, co-working spaces, cafes, and really everywhere that you add to share how these words died and why that matters. In the online series, we'll be spending a week with each word, with Blueprints in Progress on Tuesdays, where we get deep into how a word dies, and today, on Thursdays, with the main event, which will be a collaboration with artists from around the world to share their experiences with these words. If you know a word that has died or may be in danger, please go to museumofwords.com and get in the dead word bucket. Send me a DM, carrier pigeon, any kind of thing. Find me. I'm easy to find. A little about the museum. We opened when your mouths did, and thanks to the generous contribution of millions of donors like you, we've been able to identify and catalog a growing list of words that have fallen into disuse. In the English language, it can be kind of hard to tell when a word has stopped working. You might be wondering why we made rhymes for the lines that died. You see, language comes from sound, and communication comes from the drum. So we use rhythm and tone to keep these conversations in check. The reality is that words don't actually mean anything until we give them power by infusing them with tone and cadence. The fifth word in our museum is sexist/sexism. It was born circa explicitly in 1965, died circa 2010, when the men who felt threatened got very organized and decided to get together and blur the context. As I said on Blueprints in Progress, headcanon, using our imagination can be a beautiful and powerful thing, but it's also something that can build the boxes that are all around us. We invited artists of different disciplines to get together and jam with us and provide their own impressions. And our next artist, Sophie Raimondo, put together a wonderful short film that we're going to share before we talk to the artists. So please check out the work and wisdom of Sophie Raimondo.
Some words can be dead. I'm here because the word sexism came to me, to the death. It is necessary to bring this word back to life.
For your sister, mom, friend, for you.
More than 80,000 women attend to the feminist strike on the 8th of March with the purpose of protesting against the gender inequality and violence. Then COVID-19 arrived and brought silence with it. It's time to speak up and talk about sexism. Sexism has been to this day one of the world's biggest concerns because it affects the daily life of many humans. Sexism is a tree leading to many roots of unattended problems such as machismo. Femicides are one of the biggest problems in Mexico, yet like all problems in Mexican culture, people choose to ignore it. In Mexico, every day, 11 women die due to the intentional actions of aggressor just because they're women.
This second flag is a portrait of the woman I interviewed, and the question I asked her was, how does the actual situation of Mexico and the femicides affect you?
Mi hija y yo queremos ser libres, no valientes.
She answered, "My daughter and I want to be free, not brave."
The government, the courts, and the police have the task of taking care of us and keeping us safe. But here in Mexico and other countries, the corruption and lack of responsibility of these institutions are one of the main reasons of the gender violence that exists on the streets.
I'm Ana Cecilia Bautista. I'm a Mexican artist, and together with Sophie Raimondo, I decided to do a collab on the topic of bodies, of normalizing what's normal. We decided to do so because this is a thing that is not often spoken about. Lately, it's been, but still, it's not really spoken about, and it's something that we can see everywhere around the world, not only in Mexico, but also around the world, that women are taught that their bodies are much more important than their feelings or than their health. Uh, and it shouldn't be like that because not only are bodies sexualized, but also are made some sort of object. Instead of being treated as human beings, women feel like the necessity to show the world that they're valued is measured regarding the way their body looks like. So instead of focusing on how they actually feel, what they actually want, they focus on I should look this way so that people treat me this way, or I should look this way instead so that people believe that I'm beautiful or that I get a boyfriend or whatever. And it shouldn't be like that. It just shouldn't be like that because bodies are never gonna look like the stereotypes that we see or the standards that society wants us to fit in. Because bodies are just so diverse. Like nobody is ever gonna look like a Victoria's Secrets model because that's just an impossible body standard. We cannot fit in the standards because we're all diverse, and that's the magic of being so diverse, of being humans, that we're all different and that all bodies are beautiful. So what we want to express with our art is that not only the society but one alone should start normalizing normal bodies. So instead of trying to look a certain way, we all should start accepting ourselves and loving ourselves for what we are. And we're not only bodies, we're souls and we're love and we're people with dreams and so much, with so many important things that only focusing on how we look like shouldn't be the way. And that's somehow what we want to express with these pieces of art.
People say that sexism is part of our culture, that machismo has been part of our culture for a long time, that we have been raised like that. However, incredible women in Mexico and other countries have changed the history. Frida Kahlo, La Malinche, and Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz are perfect examples of women who created a revolution in our society. The last flag represents the courage and the strength that women and all humans who live under stereotypes and expectations must have. With this flag, I tell you, let's change now. Let's seek equality and respect among humans.
The search for personal power through the oppression and aggression towards the opposite gender.
Discrimination.
Believing you're superior than others. Is believing your gender give you power over others?
The fear to acknowledge the brilliance of the female gender.
Stereotyping and discrimination.
Devastation in solitude.
A threatening division.
That my sisters can't feel safe doing the same things that I can.
Privilege, inequality, disrespect, disadvantage.
A lot of pain for a lot of people. Sexism is a way to divide humanity, and it's not right because we as humans should live as one and should avoid to categorize what we are. And so sexism is a poison that humanity itself created that is so wrong, yet it's so common.
I don't have no extra for this. I got a head cannon. You got a head cannon. It's like everything I see up in my head happens. I got everything I needed from my head cannon. If you trying to get free, let's bust these head cannons. I got a head cannon. You got a head cannon. It's like everything I see up in my head happens. I got everything I needed from these head cannons. If you trying to get free, let's bust these head cannons. Yeah. Spider-Man was black, and so was Optimus Prime, and Jazz and Panthro, man, a lot of those guys, they weren't, not really, except in my mind. Saturday morning wasn't really diversified. But I was first in line for media that was deep enough. My immediate need was for a daydream to keep me up, so thoughts don't lead me astray. Stray thoughts ricochet like bullets in my brain. The bulletin board's master bits, purposeful and passionless, bullet scored and taxing ingenuity and my craftiness. So what do we do after this is find a massive pits and hide behind the gods that let me shine just like an asterisk or star. Sometimes I get caught up in my sentences, head trips and stumble through confusion and relentlessness. A roaring ball of hell with catchphrases of chemtrails. So I let off when the melon starts to swell. I got a head cannon, you got a head cannon. It's like everything I see up in my head happens. I got everything I needed from my head cannon. If you trying to get free, let's bust these head cannons. I got a head cannon, you got a head cannon. It's like everything I see up in my head happens. I got everything I needed from these head cannons. If you trying to get free, let's bust these head cannons. What's mine is mine. What's mine is mine. What's mine is mine. What's mine is mine. I'm really only here to reshape and refine. Memory is a lie like a Lucifer scheme. Life is the lucidest dream. And what I mean is we make up most of it, whether we think we do or not. So why not make a change that has an effect on the plot? Making the cartoons black make me feel my family was there, or it could be if I called. See, it was mainly self-care. The head cannon blasted and obliviates reality that could possibly get in the way. Like your favorite artist, and they made an album you hate. Not anymore. Anything could be erased, or make that. Anything could be explained. Make the brain
Bueno, yo directamente pienso que es algo que ya está intrínseco en la cultura, de mala manera. dado que hasta apenas hace unos cuantos años era clásico la idea de que mujer en casa, mujer se queda en casa y nada más se queda para hijos y ya. Mientras que, bueno, al menos en la actualidad ya no es tanto esa ideología. Ya es más la idea de que una mujer independiente o hombre y mujer afuera de casa.
Que a pesar de que todavía se está promulgando y expandiendo el mensaje por varios lados, no solamente en las calles y en redes sociales y en medios de comunicación, todavía nos falta mucho camino por recorrer, que las mismas mujeres todavía no se dan cuenta que tal vez están viviendo algún tipo de violencia en casa, en el trabajo incluso, lo sigamos permitiendo. Pero pues también está de parte de los hombres que se den cuenta. Probablemente algunos no son tan conscientes de lo que hacen a las mujeres, que están dañando a otra persona, ¿no? Y sobre los femicidios y las desapariciones de las mujeres, también sigue, a pesar de los mensajes y la propaganda que se le hace a este tipo de cosas, siguen pasando este tipo de casos. Todavía hay mucho trabajo que hacer por parte de la sociedad, de las autoridades también.
Es que sí está muy arraigado, porque no es solamente de que sea en la actualidad, es por cultura. La cultura desafortunadamente nos ha puesto, como dice mi compañero, que estamos arraigados a que la mujer nada más se queda en casa mientras el hombre se va a trabajar, y creo que conforme va avanzando la sociedad también las mujeres han hecho mucho por impulsarse también hacia ellas, que también ha acarreado muchos problemas, porque inclusive intentándose valer por sí mismas tienen muchas trabas. No es lo mismo que un hombre vaya a pedir trabajo en una vulcanizadora, por así decirlo, que una mujer lo haga. Entonces es algo muy complicado.
You got a head cannon, it's like everything I see up in my head happens. I got everything I needed from my head cannon. If you trying to get free, let's bust these head cannon. I got a head cannon. You got a head cannon, it's like everything I see up in my head happens. I got everything I needed from these head cannons. If you trying to get free, let's bust these head cannon. To get free, let's bust these head cannon. I got a head cannon. You got a head cannon, it's like everything I see up in my.
Wanted to stop real quick and check out all the credits, because you always make sure you got to have credits. One thing Dyalekt was always good at the end of the film, you always had to check the credits. So shout out to Sophie Raimondo for making the art pieces and directing the film, Mighty Oak for the animation and collaboration with Ana Cecilia Batista, and Fernando Uscanca on the guitar. Very nice on the guitar. So now, after checking out the work, please welcome Sophie Raimondo. What's going on, Sophie?
Hello, how are you doing?
Thank you.
I'm really excited.
So much for your work, by the way.
I really enjoyed to do that work, and I also learn a lot about the country and how much we have to improve. And I don't know, I was just really it was fun to do it, but it was also impressive to do this kind of work and see how much we have to learn.
Like
and
it does
change.
make an impression on you. Like when you're saying that, like it made an impression, are you talking about doing the work itself, or more like when you were sharing it with people? Because it seemed like it got a lot of reactions as you were putting it out in the public.
Yes, like impressions. Like when I went out to the street to hang the flags, I was expecting a different reaction, because I recorded how I hang the flags, and then I went out, and then I came back and I did some interviews. And when I asked people how was this situation with the femicides in Mexico affecting you, what do you think about sexism, most of the responses were, I think we don't have a problem with that. And then you see the news, and like each day 11 women disappeared or die, and then you think twice, like, do we really don't have a problem with this? I think, I don't know, it's kind of disappointing, and also, but it calls me for a challenge, like a challenge for all the humans, like, okay, this is happening, let's make a change. So, and also like it was super interesting because actually what I was doing, it was legal. Like I asked 2 weeks before I hang the flag, I went to a police and I asked him like, okay, hypothetical, let's say that someone hangs some flags supporting feminism and the woman and and stuff like that. Will it be legal? And he said like, no, it's totally illegal. It will be illegal that the police didn't support you. I was like, oh, okay, interesting.
Oh, wow.
And then when I went out and the police came, I told him like, no, this is actually legal, and I'm doing like, I'm doing like, I actually like, I'm part of a movement. I want to do a change, and and they were like, no, I know it's legal, but please don't hang it here. I don't want any problems.
Oh,
So
man,
I was like, oh, and I have to move. Like every time I saw that the police was taking down the flags, I was like, no, the flag, please don't take it down. But yeah, it was super. I don't know how to describe it. I don't have the words, but I think we need a lot of change, and talking about these things like these space we have to talk about sexism and other words that people don't talk about it anymore, and give them just open a space to talk about it. I don't know.
No, I hear you. Well, that's the interesting thing about it. Like, you think a lot about public art as graffiti, right? And graffiti has this idea, as we talk about words and their meaning, when you talk about graffiti, people think late at night, scary, illegal, and maybe saying something rude or funny. But here is you making a statement about something that you care about very deeply. That's not even just your issue. You talk about, like, people say, oh, this is not me. This is something that we all deal with, because any issue in our society is an issue for all of us. I always think about, people say karma means that if I do something wrong to you, then someone will do something bad to me, right? And that's how karma even things out. And I feel like karma is not a boomerang. Karma is instant. If I make your world worse, Sophie, I live in your world. So I've made my world worse as well. So I hear what you're saying about, like, these are issues that are not just mine, they're all of ours. And it's difficult because people are often told, a lot of words, like sexism was created to remove, the word sexism was created to remove the fear that comes with sexism. That was one of the words that people brought up when they were talking about the meanings of sexism. In your documentary, hear about fear, lack of safety, lack of privilege, these things. And it was meant to call these things out. And like a lot of these words, the people who wanted to hurt, the people who wanted to commit harm, decided to make it blurrier. So then when you make your message about feminism and supporting women, they said, okay, yeah, that sounds fine. And then when you put up an image of women being hurt, they decided that it wasn't okay with them, because you didn't have something that was easy. Maybe if your image, and we're spitballing, excuse me, officers, if I'm lying on y'all, but maybe if you put up an image that just said, women are awesome, right? They'd go, yeah, women are cool. I like women. That's fine. But you talked about a reality that, one, people don't think about a lot. Two, people don't know what to do about. And three, it makes them feel more scared. So a lot of times I can see people wanting to hide away from that. To be transparent, I'm in therapy because, people go to therapy. People of color, especially America, go to therapy. And my therapist was telling me about how you've got sadness that you mask with anger. And a lot of us do that. So I think when you bring stuff to people, they have that whole range of emotions, right? They start to feel sad, they start to feel angry, and then they often put it on the messenger. So that makes a lot of sense. Can you tell me more about your connection to, wanting to bring up more issues of femicide to light?
Well, really fast, like, what were you talking about? Like, I was at the courthouse hanging this flag that said, the injustice also kills us. And I talked to the police and I was like, yeah, I want to hang this flag. would you let me? And they were like, yeah, totally chill, go and hang it. And then when they saw the message, they were like, oh no, please take it down. I was like, no, but I already explained to you like the message, and you said it was okay. Why I have to hang it down now? And they were like, oh, we don't want trouble. And I was like, we need a little bit of getting in trouble now to make some change. And they were like, no, please take it down, because we are going to take it down. So if you can take it, or we can put it in the trash. And I was like, okay. So
even though it was illegal for them to do that.
Yeah, and it was totally illegal, but I was at the courthouse and they were the authority. So I don't know, in Mexico, and not just in Mexico, but all over the world, like the contract of the system of the whole society is falling apart. Like we have this contract of, the society, then the authority and the institution, and nobody's doing their job. Like also the society has their job of getting involved, of reading what is happening in their country, taking aside, like doubting, and they're not doing it. And the institutions are not taking also care of us, like the police or the government. And the authority also doesn't do anything. So I don't know, I'm super confused about how society is living now. And yes.
No, that's really great. Well, it's interesting thing that you say that, like, confused about how society is working now, because these institutions that we have this social contract, like you say, they tend to break these contracts. And if they don't do their jobs as artists, our whole job is to criticize things, right? Art is at its essence, it's criticism. We look at the things that work, look at the things that don't work, and we highlight that. So if the structures that everything is built on aren't doing their jobs, what is the role of the artist and how much do we have to do? I want to back up a little bit and talk a little bit more about you, Sophie. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started making art, what inspired you to make art, and what started to inspire you to make this kind of art, and what led you to the museum?
Okay, well, I just recently graduated from high school, and I had like a real tough time in high school, like I think everyone. And I started to ask myself, like, why all these questions, like, why are we living this way? Why are we normalizing these things that aren't normal at all? And suddenly I became depressed, like super depressed, and I didn't want to go to school anymore. And then I started to paint just to heal and express what I was feeling, and paint a lot of about social injustice, point of views. And then I realized that it was something that really was helping me to be stable, like mind stable and also heart stable. So I transformed my room in my apartment into a mini studio, and I started to get involved with muralists in Mexico. Like I wrote them in Instagram, like, I love your work. Can I go and you teach me something? Or can I go and we talk about what is happening here in Mexico with the Pope? I began to many artists and many different people, and sometimes I didn't know many techniques, but I just like go with what I feel, and with the colors I was feeling it. And most of all were a lot of emotions. Like I was really painting at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and then I went to school and I was like, oh no, I didn't sleep, but I was like so much better in the state of mind. Like, yeah, maybe I didn't sleep, but I was so like in peace with myself. Like, okay, you left a message, and you create something that brings consciousness to your mind, and maybe to you one or two friends. And so I started also to post my Instagram, and to create a little bit of consciousness there. And at some point I decided, like, okay, I want to go a little bit bigger than my Instagram. So I looked to send like a opportunity or open call where I was really like, okay, they are looking for somebody who wants to create consciousness. And then I found you guys. I was like, I really read the description. I was like, this is my job. I need to do this. And then I read the different words that they gave, and I was like, okay, this is so difficult because all the words I are so lost, or somehow they're so normalized, and nobody really speaks about that. So I was really confused about what word to choose at the end. But I was really happy when they gave me the word of sexism, because with the COVID, when COVID arrived, like nobody was speaking about it. Like in March, there was a strike, a big strike, and everyone was talking about femicides and everything. And I was super excited. I was like, okay, we have an opportunity here to make some noise and changes. And then COVID arrived, and there was nothing more.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is a second opportunity. Let's do something. And yeah, I really like to do that.
I love how you. One thing that's great about artists is that we don't take a lot of tests. Our way of showing and proving is actually doing. And I like how when you started sharing your art with folks, it was because you had already used it to heal yourself. And it's a great testament to education. And everybody who's listening and watching, if you're not sure about education works, remember the first time you taught yourself something that made you feel good. The first thing you wanted to do was share it with others. And that's just what you're talking about. So if it's like the first time you figured out how to heal yourself with your art, you're like, oh, I proved my hypothesis. The healing works doing this thing. So I should take that and I should share that with other people. And I wanted to talk real quick, as you brought up femicide. And sexism is this interesting word that came about fairly recently. In 1965, it was made an analog to racism, and was brought up by the people who were affected. A lot of words, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, racism was invented by someone who committed racist acts. But sexism, the word, and sexist, the word, that was created by someone who was a victim of these acts, someone who knew them intimately. And almost as soon as this woman brought out these words and started using them as a way to catalog and understand so that we can change things, people started blurring it and making it messier and harder to understand. So a more recent word that's been used, femicide, that you just brought up, is a word that is already pretty controversial, because just like what we were talking about earlier, right? It's cool if you're like, women are awesome, but when you start talking about the reality that women are often in danger in situations that we don't know about. I've seen so many men get angry online of many different countries at the suggestion that women don't feel safe around them, which is the worst thing. And I understand, because, you know, I'm a man myself, and I've been in situations where I've walked by a woman, happy-go-lucky about my day, not trying to be threatening, and I see someone grab their purse, or I see someone look at me like they don't trust me. And I guess I feel a kind of way. Yeah, I feel a little sad about that someone doesn't trust me. But that pales in comparison to the actual fear that's felt by a lot of people around us. So it's really interesting that, similar to the word sexism, people are trying to kill the word femicide because they don't want to face those realities, that people are afraid and people don't have safety.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because they want to kill the word femicides, but they are actually killing the women. Like, it's really impressive to me. Like, well, in high school, we also have like debates about this, and so many people said like, yeah, I'm a feminist, and they just said, but they don't actually support the freedom of women. They were like, okay, I'm a feminist, but please shave because it's disgusting. It's like, okay, that's not a point of start. Like, don't say you are a feminist if you don't are going to like, okay, we all start like a little by little and we go learning, but I don't know, it's like, also I asked a policeman, like, okay, what does the word femicide means to you? And he was like, okay, I agree for some part, but and the police behind him, he was laughing. Like when he said, "I agree," he totally started to laugh. Like we have a problem with that, and the police behind that was actually laughing. And in Mexico, people really don't report what is happening, because when they go to the police, there are been cases where the police actually rape the victims. Like they, so I don't know. It's so insecure about the whole situation is full of controversial, but it's actually really clear to me in some ways. Like it's just clear to me that there's needs we have to do a change. That's what it's clear to me. Like bring consciousness, and not just consciousness, but also start making action, like behaving yourself. I don't know, many times also it's between women and women, sometimes they're super bad to each other in some ways.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago with racism as well, about like the internalized oppression, right? When
Yes.
You played the song Headcanon, and I thought Headcanon was the right song to talk about sexism, because it's about our imagination, right? It's this thing that you were saying about guys who say, I respect women. I like women in my imagination to the parameters that I've set. I used to say that I was a feminist too. Apologies for that, all women out there. I was raised by my mom and her sisters, and I was taught all these things about women, and I assumed, okay, I was raised by women, so I understand women, and I'm a feminist. The thing about headcanon, the thing about our imagination can be a beautiful thing. It can be a powerful thing. It can help us. It can save us when we are in dangerous situations. When we don't have safety, when we don't have community, we can use our imagination to create that. But a lot of times, our imagination just explains for us why stuff happens, because we don't want to unpack our feelings. Like you said earlier, we don't want to deal with these things. We don't want to deal with the things that are dangerous and that are scary and that are uncomfortable. So we make up in our minds this headcanon, this imagination that I'm a good person, and that anybody who's getting hurt or getting in trouble, it's because of something they did. And that's why I didn't help them. I would have helped them if it was a real thing, but it seems like it's not a real thing. So I didn't help them, and I can still think I'm a good person. Right?
Yeah, totally. And what you said, you were raised by women, and I was also raised by my mother. And sometimes, like she told me once, you need to shave, because women are only beautiful if they shave. And I was like, okay, mom, I understand your part. You were also raised like that, but sometimes we have to re-evolve. Like think like, okay, why are we doing this? What's actually the purpose? Like, just I think we need a lot of asking questions to ourselves. Like, is this really okay? They taught us this. This is how it works in the society. But is this really what I believe? What is good to me and for everybody? Like, doubt about the normalizations we have. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in real quick and talk about normalization, as you were talking about, because you keep bringing that up, and that was our word last week, normal, right? And I remember when I was listening to the documentary, there was talk about how when in terms of women's bodies, how the Victoria's Secret model as a standard is not normal, right? And that's the thing of it, is what ended up killing normal is conflating standards with a quantifiable designation, with creating hierarchy, order. So saying that a Victoria's Secret model, which is considered a certain level of beauty, being the standard, being the only type, rather than having diversity, rather than having a circle, we have straight lines which determine a winner and a loser. You want to be the winner. If you are not the winner, the Victoria's Secret model, you are not normal. Even though the majority of us are not normal. The majority of us, I don't know if you know this, Sophie, I have been turned down every time I've applied to Victoria's Secret. They say I don't have the qualifications. So but that's most of us. So if most of us don't fit the standard, why should we trust the standards? And then you wonder why we have such trouble talking to each other.
It makes totally sense. Like what you said, like the standards are actually totally not standards. Like someone just said like, oh, this is beauty. Everyone needs to follow this beauty. And I think what makes us human is how diverse we can be and how beautiful diversity can be and how full of love everyone can be. But then we start to separate each other, say, no, you're not normal and you're not beauty and you need to be that and be this. And I actually think like be you and let the others be. Like just stop putting standards, stereotypes. We're not products. We're just humans. We don't need a label. We don't need really a label or really I don't know. Sometimes like when I go to a party, I really don't like party because I feel like I'm in a supermarket. Like guys come and say like, I like this ham. And it's like, no, I'm not him. I'm a person, and I have so much more than just how I look. I have so much more, and I usually get super mad. Like really, the first time I was like at a club, I was like, I came home and I just said to my mom, I don't understand how people go to this terrible place. And they were like, and then she was, no, come on, Sophie. And I was like, no, I really don't understand because here in Mexico is also like a place like yeah, you if friends go, you go with the friends, and then there's the boys, and the boys come over, and like I also like to go to the boys sometimes, like, how are you doing? I would like to know you. And they're like, no, the boys need to come over. You don't go over. No, let me. Like, I think everyone just has to do what they feel right. Like, if I want to meet someone, I will just go and meet them. I don't care if I'm a woman, a man, whatever I want to be, just let me be it, and I will let you be you. Yeah, don't put a label on me or tell me what to do. I don't know.
I love that. And as I was telling you from before, like you, every time you're not trying to, you keep on coming up with great rhymes. But the real thing of it, and the reason why I brought up and started talking so much about beauty is beauty, again, deals with safety. It's about symmetry. You know this as an artist, that symmetry is such an important part of what you do. Even, with the music that I make, symmetry, making sure we have the 4 beats that go in there 4/4 time, that everything fits in its place. Symmetry is what's defined as beauty. The people you would say like Victoria's Secret models or people who are models and generally have a great deal of symmetry in their face, right? That's what keeps them being pretty. If my eye was down here and the other one's up here, I'd be considered less pretty. And it's not just about, the Victoria's Secret models things and the products. I bring them up because, they sell products. It's not just about them selling products because they're beautiful and you want to have sex with them or date them even. It's about trust. Beauty equals trust. Symmetry equals trust. We're going to talk about it more in a couple of weeks with some of the other words, but like think about when you've seen cartoons with the bad guy and the bad guy has a disfigurement in their face, doesn't have symmetry. You can't trust them. The news anchors in every country all over the world are always symmetrical, good looking in that safe kind of way. There's no variations or funky things or big hair, a very safe, simple, symmetrical thing. And we talked about this before as we were building up to this. And I wanted to wrap more with you about how you feel about this and what we think we can do. Because you seem very purpose-driven with your art, which I appreciate and think is dope. And artists, no matter your medium, but especially visual cats, you guys decide what beauty is every time you make something. You get to change that and reshape that and create what the normalization of beauty is. Even, we were talking about the people you look up to, like Frida Kahlo, who was like, I'm painting beautiful portraits of myself that don't make myself look like what some other person thinks I should look like. It makes myself look like me. And that's beauty because I say so. And I love that we have that ability, we have that challenge, and that responsibility to redefine beauty every time we're making art.
Yes, actually, I like for all the artists, if there's an artist watching this a lot, I think we have the challenge now to redefine beauty, because I think nowadays a lot of people have just this stereotype in their minds, and we can just express that also diversity is beauty, and we can bring up some new normalization. So yeah, I think it's actually our job to bring these ideas and go to the streets and make people redefine the definition of beauty. I don't think, like, dialect, you said, like, in the movies, and we already seen in the books, magazine, everywhere, the bad guy also looks like not symmetrical. But I think I don't know, in Christmas we all get presents, right? And we all always drop the inventory. We just, because what really matters is what it's inside, the heart, the emotions, the actions, the impact you made on people. Like, I don't know where, but I once read, people will always remind you on how you impact them. So let's go outside to the world and impact with the beauty of the heart, not the beauty, and all bodies and shapes and everything is beautiful, but what really makes you beautiful is what the beauty of the heart. That's I think something incredible, and that we don't think about it a lot. Like, I would love to go and make a club about the beauty of the heart, and everyone wears a mask, like a paper bag mask, and nobody knows each other. Like, nobody can see each other, or everyone just can be like, this is me, and open, I don't know, like, open to each other, and be like, bring comfort and trust to each other, because it doesn't matter how you look, and you're perfect as you are, with a long hair, short hair. I don't know.
I love that. It's funny because, when you talk about the mask and not mask thing, I think about the, like, seeing not seeing color thing, and I wonder if there is a way, because it's like one of those intermediary steps of, like, take the mask so we can take away the thing that we think about, but it feels like something we need to confront. And I love the idea of us being able to find the way in that the things that we do are the things that matter. I have a similar quote from the quote that you were talking about. It reminded me of the classic Maya Angelou quote about how people will forget what you said, what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel in these matters of the heart. And the matters of the heart, not simply meaning things about love, but meaning things about empathy, about things about understanding, and things about listening. Because when you care in an active sense, you'll actually listen. Sophie, we should probably wrap this up. We've been talking for a minute, but I wanted to, before we roll, where can people find more of your work, and what type of stuff do you want them to know before they see you again?
Could you repeat the question, please? Because
my bad.
I didn't hear it. So, right, please?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, the internet cutting us out. So please let people know where they can see more of your work. And if there's anything you need them to know before they see you again, please make sure that they know now.
Okay. Well, you can find me at my Instagram, that it's down here, is Sof Locura Pura, and actually it means like Sophie crazy, pure craziness, because I love the craziness and the diversity of the human. So you can find me right there, Sof Locura Pura, and go outside to the street and be yourself and bring consciousness, and not just consciousness, but also actions, kind actions. We need a lot of kind love, and yeah, a lot of kindness and love in the street. So
yeah, thank you. Kind actions, love in the street. Thank you, Sophie Raimondo. Woo. Thank you, guys. I want to thank everybody for being a part of the Museum of Dead Words. That's our perspective on sexist/ism, a word born for and by the people who are trying to protect the people who are under attack. Next week, we're going to be getting into the word slut, which brings us to so many weird etymological places. Do you guys know where the word slut actually began and if it had anything to do with sex? We'll talk about it next week. Thank you, guys. Check out Epitaphs with Kristen on Sundays. And if there's any of the weeks that you miss, you can see us on the museumwheredeadwords.com. Thanks, y'all. Peace.